am so excited to be here. Quick introductions. I would like to see if we have a volunteer that would like to share a personal goal, or professional goal, or retirement goal. You can either use the little button that puts your hand up, or you can just wave your hand like the old-fashioned way. So if you have a personal goal, professional goal, or retirement goal, Rita, if you want, I'll pick on you because you said you had a goal and it's something to do with employment. So do you want to share like 2 minutes on what that looks like?
Sure. I really like working with people. I had a part-time job, work at home, and he stopped paying everybody. So we all stopped working. And before I knew it, a year went by. And then I had some back issues. But now I'm really anxious to get back to work. And I want to work part-time at home. I like dealing with people. Torn between, I really like customer service, but I think that I do better probably money-wise if I did admin. Is that true?
It depends on what you do, it really does. So let me ask you this question, Rita, when you were doing your at-home work, was it just like phone system, or were you doing like Zooms and actually meeting with people in person through the internet?
No, I dealt with people. Um, the Zoom meetings were more for the company.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, he had a number of employees, and the others were by phone. But I maintained all of his clients. I got a lot of clients for him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, and then I worked at maintaining it and, seeing if they were happy with everything or if they wanted to change anything.
Okay.
And I just enjoyed working with people.
That's great to know. So for you, your goal in 2025 is to find that at-home part-time gig.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. Does anybody else want to share a personal, professional, or retirement goal before we get started? You can raise your hand or click a little button, whatever works best for you. Norman. All right. Norman, share with me a personal, professional, or retirement goal, if you would.
Well, I just retired late last year, so
Oh,
I'm still in the
congratulations.
process of figuring it all out. So far, it's been okay. Obviously, the cold temperatures and the snow are making it even more challenging, but I'm encouraged I've spoken to a lot of other people who are going through the same phase or are about to go through it, and I think it'll be okay, but I'm still kind of working out the details of how I'm going to manage each day. So it's still basically a work in
A
progress.
work in progress. Well, Norm, I have to ask, where are you coming from that you're dealing with snow?
I'm in Long Beach in a suburb outside of New York City.
Oh my goodness. Well, we are super excited that you're joining us. The majority of us are probably the Palm Beach to Martin County areas in Florida. So if you want to come down to Florida, this is a great spot. So,
Okay, keep that in mind.
well, we're super excited you joined us, Norbert. So hopefully we can kind of entice you or inspire you with this presentation. Anybody else want to go? Personal, professional, retirement goal for 2025. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just share my little professional goal. So I myself I have been on the like career journey this year and last year, kind of looking for what's next. I retired from education as an HR director, and I love doing that. And it was a great experience. And I love the people that I got a chance to work with. And now in my new adventure, my goal is to continue growing and learning and finding that next best thing for me. So it's definitely been quite a journey, and I feel like God's got a plan for me and it's right around the corner. So I am going to go ahead and jump in and get started. All right, so next slide. All right, so I am so excited to be here today and partnering with Encore. They asked me to be a guest speaker, and I was thrilled to have that happen and to kind of help kind of kick off the new Encore year. And so with that said, what I was looking at was really focusing on kind of that new year theme of healthy habits for creating an age-friendly workplace. And what I'm going to do is touch a little bit on those easy strategy for age inclusion to increase employee engagement as well as recruitment and retention. So for those of you that are looking for work, whether it's retirement, possibly a part-time job, or even just thinking about what it's like to be, out there and interacting with all the different generations. Maybe this will give you a little bit of perspective and maybe some skills. And if you are a current employer, this is a great opportunity for you to kind of take a look at the practices that you have currently and how you can improve those practices to be an age-friendly employer. So I am Shannon Armstrong. I am super excited to be here. I have a business called Strong Consulting, and what I do is really specialize in that talent development, connecting people, building strategic plans, helping companies get started, and then coming in for companies that really need some process improvement, maybe their paper and they need to get automated, that kind of thing. So that's really where my skills and talents lie. I've been in education for a long time. I'm really strong in that like total rewards, change management. My skill set is I am a Palm Beach County girl. My kids are 7th generation Floridians, and I'm proud to say I graduated from Florida Atlantic University as well as Florida State University. I am a College of Law graduate, and it's in HR compliance and legal risk management. So hopefully I can add a little bit of insight today that will make this interesting and that we can make it interactive. So it's not just me talking. So if you have something you want to share, feel free to raise that hand. If you have something you'd like to put in the chat, you can totally do that as well. We're going to go ahead and move on. So the importance of healthy habits for you. So it's really important at the beginning of a year, honestly, the whole year, but it's a chance at the beginning of the year to refresh and say, how can I do better in the new year? And whether you're working or retired, or you're a volunteer or a caregiver, you find that habits really do help create a better space for you. And so we're going to, look at the year and say, these are the things, create those goals, and that will help you reduce the stress. That'll create some accountability for yourself. Those will be positive changes that'll help you have a positive mindset. And then eventually through following that procedures, you'll even have clear results. So it's really important to have those healthy habits in place, and that'll help you keep motivated and involved. And honestly, attending something like this is a great place to start. Okay, so our objective today is to kind of go over the understanding and value of age diverse workforce, as well as reviewing the barriers that can happen when it comes to age inclusion. And then we'll discuss those practical strategies for fostering age inclusivity. So I'm excited to jump in on that. Any questions so far? Okay. All right. We need to go in the other direction. There we go. So my first poll, if you want to unmute yourself and answer one of these questions, or if you want to put it in the chat, I would like to see all of you take advantage and write something in the chat or unmute yourself and speak out loud, whatever you feel comfortable. My poll questions are, what challenges does your organization face in supporting employees across all age groups? Or poll number 2, what challenges do you personally face when working, volunteering, or interacting with different age groups? So I'm looking to see if somebody is brave enough to jump out there and answer one of those poll questions. And you can type it in the chat too. So what challenges do you personally face when working, volunteering, or interacting with different age groups? So think about when you're at the grocery store, or when you're trying to communicate about a purchase for a phone. What are those kind of challenges that you might experience?
I'm going to nominate Eduardo to answer that here because I know he does volunteer with a number of diverse groups. So Eduardo, do you have something that you can share with us?
Oh, well, of course, good morning, everyone.
Good
Um,
morning.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for being there today. Personally, when you volunteer, you don't really, at least I've never experienced any challenges as per se. People adore you, people grab you with both arms because you are volunteering. But this country, in my case, has given me so much. I am a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. I am Argentinian by birth. I obviously am bilingual. I lived in Argentina for 16 years. But no, I just want to give back of my experience, my background, back to my community. So I work with schools, I mentor, junior achievement, I do a ton of things for the community. But I don't think I've ever encountered any challenge or challenges as per se. Everybody's so welcoming, has been so welcoming to me, at least. In my case, I've been with my wife almost 60 years, so I want to spend time at home and enjoy how many more years we may have left. But I've been very blessed in so many ways. But obviously, I would love to be able to do something, which I do. I work more harder today now as a volunteer than I worked in my work life. But no, I'm here because I want to learn. I want to listen to everyone else. I'm a great listener. I'm very quiet. Usually I'm very quiet for the most part, but I thank you for doing this for everyone.
Oh, thank you, Eduardo. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that and so much, and so glad that you're here. Let me ask you a question. When you are talking to, especially like junior achievement, for instance, and you're working with younger folks, do you find yourself maybe not understanding some of their terminology or maybe some of their references, or are you like picking it up like nobody's business? What is your experience with that?
It's been quite a learning experience, obviously, because I'm dealing with people much, much, much younger than I am. But I have it's in my personality. I get to their level. Hi guys, how are you today? Very uppity up. Um, and matter of fact, the kids say, we love having you here because you're always so positive. And I'm not the type of person that goes into a classroom and says nothing. I'm always smiling, walking around the classroom, and so how are you doing? How was your weekend? I'm very much like that. No, it's great. Oftentimes I learn more from the kids than they learn from me. So it's
That's a perfect answer, Eduardo, because you basically were like a plant for me. Because I think skill sets that you just exhibited were your ability to listen, and you talk about how you're a listener. And I think one of those things, as a person of different generations, when we are working with people of other generations, really taking the time to let them feel valued. I find personally that when I work with the younger generation, especially those in the 20 to 23, 20s, those early 20s, I think that they're COVID kids, right? A lot of them have been, 4 years, depending on their situation. They had lockdown. They maybe didn't build some skills that they needed to get along with others. And so the willingness for somebody like you to come along and listen, it seems like such a big value. And I see a marked difference between kids that are in the 20 to 25. If you're willing to listen and let them know you don't understand, feel comfortable and say that, like, what's that mean? I had somebody the other day, they're like FYA, and I'm like, what the heck is FYA? I know FYI, but it's for your awareness, by the way, just so you
thank
know.
you. I didn't know that. Thank you.
But I've learned that it is okay to say, hey, I don't understand. You don't have to be with it and cool. it's all right to say, you know, I don't know what that means, but I think if I do understand it, I can participate in using that word, or at least when you text me or send me an email, I know when you say FYA that that's what that means, right? So perfect. Thank you, Eduardo, for sharing that. So anybody else have any challenges that they'd like to share, whether it's an organization or personally working or volunteering or interacting with different people?
And Karen has put in the chat some of the challenges for different cultural touchstones, frame of reference, or understanding.
Oh, yes, yes, that's very true. And so I'm currently been supporting a aerospace factory. Okay, so this has been a huge learning curve for me. And one of the things that I see coming here is that there's a lot of people that are from other countries that like Eastern European countries. So thick accents, very steeped in culture, very steeped in tradition. And, you know, where things may happen that are what you would think are normal in a workplace, if they're not aware, they can find it very scary and abrupt, and they can get angry. And so, especially those that have been here a long time. And so, one of the things that I've been able to provide value to them is being able to listen and being able to calmly explain the situation or the decisions or the why this process is new. A lot of it surrounds like the beginning of a new year and benefit changes and things like that. And, you know, being able to pivot in the work environment where you have people that are in their 80s that are working. And then I've got new hires that are 20 and they're visiting my office daily wanting to know how to save in the 401k. So you really do in a multi-generational workforce need to kind of have the way you work with people. And a lot of it surrounds patience and I think skill building too. So we'll go ahead and move on unless there was anything else, Christine, in the chat. Okay.
Karen mentioned FOMO, and
Oh,
that's one
yeah.
that most people don't know.
Yes, that is so very true. Thank you, Karen. Okay, so next up is understanding the value of the age diverse workforce. So I threw a picture on here. I thought it was a great picture to kind of show an example. So this is me. I'm on a tour on a school bus. And in this group, in this picture, we have somebody in their 50s, somebody in their 60s, somebody in their late 30s, and somebody that's 21. And so this is how the normal work life looks now, you know, and it's like communication is the key. And I find that sometimes the way I would meet with the 60-year-old is she prefers in-person, hands-on conversation, where when I meet with the 20-year-old, she and I will go for a walk and then we'll have a conversation. And it's different, where you have to realize that everybody communicates different, and sometimes they communicate in different ways. What I find with the younger generation, especially those in the early 20s, they're busy and they're used to tech and they're used to speed. And so what I've done is a little strategy that might be beneficial to those of you out there that work with people is to go ahead and like say, hey, let's do a 5-minute walk. And you'll go for a walk around the building, have that conversation, whether it's asking them how their day was or going through a process to make sure they understand what the steps to take are. But just a very simple strategy, but it's really good to be aware that we are working with a diverse group. And not everybody here looks like they're 50 or 60 or even 21, right? That's the thing. You can't judge a book by their cover. I'm 54 years old and I'm proud of that, right? But a lot of people may not think that. So I'm proud to be an Encore member. So anyway, remembering that the workforce is multi-generational, it's really spanning those 5 generations. I see that here at the factory that I'm working and supporting. Age inclusivity enhances employee engagement, retention, and innovation, and organizations that embrace the diversity thrive in the competitive markets. And so that's really important to catch on. So I wanted to share some data that I think you guys might like, is that in 2020, people age 55 made up nearly 25% of the workforce, up from 13% back in 1994. So by 2030, it's estimated that 1 in 4 US workers will be 55 or older. In the European Union, older workers age 55 to 64 represented about 20% of the workforce in 2021 and are projected to continue growing. So those global trends, kind of what's happening all around the world, is that the aging population is having a profound impact on that workforce. For example, I put Japan, where a significant portion of the workforce is now 65 years or older due to a combination of a longer life expectancy as well as lower birth rates. So, wrong direction. Okay. Perfect. Here we go. So here we are, another barrier. I love to share this picture. This woman is a retired employee. She did 40 years at a school district, and she came back because she wanted more. So she's going for her second round, and she is just so, it is never, never, never too late to want to, just because you have that retirement label doesn't mean your career is done. And you can always go back to do something different, or maybe you can go back to what you already did in just a different capacity or different level. She came back part-time and she's loving it. So I had to share that picture because look at her smile. She's just showing how happy she is to be back at work and busy. So key points to know about the barriers when it comes to being an older worker and somebody that when you're recruiting or even being involved with employment is understanding that there are age-related stereotypes and biases. They happen, and there's limited flexibility in workplace policies. A lot of times they don't understand certain conditions or requirements. We find that there's gaps in training and development opportunities for older employees, as well as a lack of leadership, engagement, inclusivity efforts. The application process and requirements can actually deter someone greatly. Something I personally have gone through, understanding the use of AI. So when you're applying for a job, you're going up against young people that are taking AI and AI is helping them write their resume. AI is helping them do their cover letter. AI is helping them complete questions and surveys and all kinds of stuff, where if those of us that are not with it, the AI tech, may not be able to compete even though we have the credentials. And I personally have experienced in the last year and a half of what that looks like. And I've attended things like Encore and the SHRM HR events and other educational improvement things for myself, just so I can learn some of these things to help me get better so that I can share that with you guys. And so there are a lot of neat things out there that can really help you strategy wise to get a job. You just have to kind of embrace some of those technologies. So myth or legend, I'm not going to read all of these, but I'm just going to grab a couple. So one of my favorite is older workers lack tech skills. So the reality is that many older employees have a wealth of experience with technology, believe it or not. It just differs maybe. So they're not as apt with an app, or maybe they don't understand the latest Excel. But, you know, the world went around and people went to space back in the 60s. You know, it is not like tech wasn't here. Tech has been here, and it's just might look a little bit different. And I am super excited to see that all of you guys managed to get onto the Zoom. So you're embracing tech. And, you know, I think that's fantastic. And so one of these real world examples that I saw that I liked is a 2019 study of the National Academy of Science saying that older adults are increasing their engagement with the digital platforms, particularly for the tasks of online banking, video conferencing, and e-commerce. So I have to ask, just for fun, is anybody embracing crypto? Is anybody getting on the apps and playing with the crypto, looking about? So that's like a whole 20s-year-olds thing right now. So that's one of those things that if you want to connect with that generation, you might want to learn a little bit about it, just to kind of build your skills and communicating with that age group. The other thing is that older workers are less productive. I work in a factory here. I'm supporting them. And I can tell you that the older workers add value. They add tenure. They add consistency. They don't call in sick. And they are reliable, right? And so maybe speed may not be the same as that youthful worker, but over the time period of a day, the productivity ends up becoming exactly the same, if not better, and the quality is better because they bring that experience to the table. And that's why you never want to discount that experience that somebody has. Maybe they're not as fast, but you will get the quality and you'll get the product at the end. So the next thing is to go over is strategies. How do we improve our hiring practices flexible work policies? How do we improve clarity of what pay looks like? What is the growth plan and process? Training and development those your staff, as well as leadership engagement. So looking ahead, we look at the benefits of that. So if we were to do this and we help support our employees, there's this important knowledge transfer where we have older employees that have all this years of experience and accumulated knowledge that can be vital for mentoring your younger employees. So really allowing them to kind of team up, maybe learn a little bit from them. I've seen this happening in my old positions as well as where I am now supporting, is that connecting the groups in an engagement committee, which we have, allows them to kind of work together and get to know each other. And it's not like an us and them, it's really bringing people together, so more of a meld. That mentorship is also a great opportunity where an older employee can uniquely mentor the younger colleague, teaching them some problem-solving skills and interpersonal wisdom. One of the things that we're doing here is that when we have a new employee come on board, we like to match them with someone more tenured, and that's where they can follow and mirror that person for over a month. And that's where that skill building comes. So want to watch our time. So where to start? All this great information. We talked about different strategies. We talked about data. We talked about all these things. And a great place to start that I've learned and I personally have used is really focusing on some of the things that Encore has provided as a resource, but also this amazing new badge that you can get to become an Encore age-inclusive employer. And for someone who's looking for work, this could be something that you would say, I'd like to work at that place because I know they're working hard to provide this inclusive environment. So let's talk a little bit about this age-inclusive employer in Palm Beach County accreditation. This age-inclusive employer accreditation exemplifies what that organization is being recognized for, and that they honor that mature worker. And this accreditation includes the knowledge, maturity, reliability, and productivity that comes with experience. They acknowledge it. They want that to be something that's valued. And if they have this badge, it shows that they're committed to providing a meaningful employment and development opportunities for those mature workers. And in organizations that have this age-inclusive work-life culture will attract more talent and build a stronger, more cohesive workforce. So that's the goal, right? Is that we want to find a place that will value our skills and that is striving to do better each and every day. So what is that age-inclusive employer? That is an employer that understands that older workers bring a level of experience, critical thinking, and sheer knowledge that cannot be taught. These employers want age 50 plus candidates to know they are valued. So that's what happens when you see that badge. And if you want, or you're a business owner and you'd like to get that age inclusive designation, you just go ahead and you can, it's for $100, and with employees over 100, it's $250. And we'll go ahead. And the application process, you will complete a confidential questionnaire regarding recruiting and employment practices. And the accreditation process typically takes 3 to 4 weeks after submission. And then your accreditation will be posted on the Encore website and promoted to our extensive email list in our newsletter. So if you are personally looking for a job, we'll focus on those folks that have this accreditation badge as people that you would like to work for. That would be a great place to start. So let's chat about this a little bit. One of the reasons I say this is a great place to start is because the questionnaire to get this accreditation really got me thinking. And one of those things it's kind of a self-audit for your business. And let's start with just the first one. How does management visibly and actively support age diversity in recruitment? It takes you some time to think about that. What do we do? How are we visibly and actively supporting the people that work here? And do people know? And if I were to ask some people, Would they be able to tell me back what they see? Are we modeling this kind of active and visible support? And I suspect that a lot of companies, when asked that question, the answer is likely not. They're not doing a very good job. So I love that question. Another question would be like, do you have a policy promoting the value of mature workers? What does that policy look like? Are you promoting it? Are your employees aware of it? And then another one that's a great kind of self-look at your business or industry is what percentage of the workers are over the age of 50? That's a really good indicator for whether or not your recruiting practices are as they should be, and if you have the depth of knowledge to really support your business, because the mature worker really does bring you a lot of the stability and skills that you might need to be a successful business. So another points is like, do workers who are age 50 have access to training and development opportunities and resources necessary to maintain their performance? Maybe they need a little bit different strategies, different training, different OJT, on the job training. Are there flexible work arrangements? A lot of mature workers are not looking for full time, but they want to work. So I think that is a huge barrier, because there's a lot of industries that are like all or nothing. And I think that that's where they're missing the boat, is you've got somebody that's willing to work and they're like, I'd like to work 20 hours or 30 hours or maybe 10. And they bring such an amazing skill set to the table and knowledge. And so looking at yourself as a business and saying, you know what, let's pilot a 20-hour-a-week work week or a 10-hour work week where we can have somebody like that that has so much value. This has been something I personally have been advocating when it comes to education, is that I believe in our schools, if we would just allow the mature worker who has all this life knowledge teach one class, you know, or two classes or one day, you know, and on a topic like a physics or engineering or something that they have a lot of knowledge. Just because they're retired doesn't change the intelligence and the smarts and the ability to maybe communicate that knowledge. So I am a huge advocate for organizations that are willing to think out of the box and how they can pivot their structure so that we can get the mature worker. I see you getting excited, Eduardo. I'm getting excited. I'm very passionate about it. I think a lot of industry are missing the boat because the mature worker doesn't want the 40-hour a week, but it doesn't mean they don't add value. And maybe, Norman, that's you, because you're thinking about, hey, I'm retired, but I bet you got a lot of life experience and knowledge that maybe you'd like to share and make a little bit of money too. Okay. So call to action. I always like to say, okay, this is awesome, but what do I do now? So really, I say join us in building an inclusive future for all employees, all volunteers. We want to make a place where volunteers, employees, mentors, anybody, whatever you look like, where we can embrace those age-friendly, healthy habits starting today. Share your takeaways with your team. Talk about what you learned today. Look at the little checklist that I created of ways to kind of audit your systems and processes to see, you know, what are they doing? And as an employee or somebody who's looking to work somewhere, what are they doing? Are they engaging their older workers? Are they a diverse workforce? You know, do you see people that look like you? And so continue this conversation. I would say contact Encore. They have valuable resources and guidance that could really set you on the path. Connect with each other at events like Wisdom and Experience Works, an exciting event that when I'm done, we'll hear a little bit about. And then tell your story, speak up and out so others will listen. Let people know. I've really had to kind of shyly not tell people I'm looking for work. When my job ended, I was on a contract and the position had been completely collapsed and no longer exists. That's when I decided to retire from education. But it was hard. It was frustrating. It was sad. It was scary. I was anxious. I didn't know what the future held. I'm going to work for another 15 years. And it's like, now what? What do I do? And so being able to freely talk about that and not hold it in, not be nervous, not be scared, to share with others that, you know what, it's okay. And it's normal to feel nervous and scared. But that's where you lean into programs like today. That's where you lean into programs and organizations like Encore, and you connect with others and you say, you know what? I want a job. I'm looking for work. And how do I find a place that will understand and appreciate me? And this is a great place to start. So tell your story. So I'm just a little quote. Strength lies in diversity of experiences, where every generation brings a unique perspective, and together we create a richer, more innovative workplace. Fun fact, I actually got this quote. I put unknown, but it's technically from AI. I've been embracing AI a lot more lately, and I just threw in some stuff, and I was looking for a quote, and it came up, and I said, who wrote this quote? And AI told me I did. Not me, but AI. So I'm giving it an unknown because there's a possibility somebody said this and AI is kind of stealing it. But I just thought it was a great quote, and I wanted to use a little AI to give you guys some tech. I also wanted to give you a little bit more tech by adding some fun little effects where you can have the bubbles, because you know what? Strength lies in our differences and not in similarities. And bubbles are a great thing to embrace because they're all different. They're all different sizes and all that stuff. And as we go on to our next slide, I'm going to embrace the next step where we have the curtain call. And as we open the curtain, I just want to thank you guys for everything and let you know that I embrace a diverse family as well as diverse ages. And I am super blessed to have the people around me. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to participate today. And I'm going to drop the mic and allow you guys to ask any questions that you might have. And I'll be here for a few minutes, but I will turn it back over to Christine if she wants to talk a little bit about Encore.
Great presentation, Shannon. Lots of good information. I'm sure before I start talking about Encore, I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there. So let's open it up. You can unmute yourself or put questions in the chat. We'd love to hear your feedback. Norman, I see you have your hand up, so go right ahead.
I think one of the things that I've been doing since I've retired is that I've been basically researching a lot of people who have articles or some guidance to people who are retiring. And they all, many of them say, I shouldn't say all, but many of them say that one of the ways to have a successful retirement is to be thinking about it while you're still working and to start kind of planning it ahead of when you actually do it. But what I have found, and I was very fortunate, I was able to work until age 70, but I think I'm in the minority. Many people end up having to retire at earlier ages, usually not at their own choice. And because of that reason, they don't have the time to do the mental preparation to kind of set some of the framework for how they want to spend that retirement. So I think that's kind of the dilemma that many people face. And I'm not saying that all of it is the problem of the employers. I think some of it is just ourselves, because I was in a situation about 1.5 years ago where a job that I had was about to end, and I wasn't really ready to retire at that point. I'm not quite sure I'm ready now, but I certainly wasn't ready at that point. But for various reasons, that job ended, and thankfully I was able to find something else to carry me forward for another year plus. But I think many people who find themselves in that situation where they're in their 60s and suddenly they're back in the job market don't have that success at being able to land themselves again. And not only do they have to retire earlier than they planned, but they have to do it without really having to have any time to really plan for it. So that's kind of the, I think what we need to do is just get people thinking about that. It's not all the other side that they don't want to hire us. I think we have to really feel that we still have a lot of value to offer, that we can step into situations, and maybe we'll run into companies that have this blind feeling about people over a certain age, but hopefully we'll find others that don't.
Yeah. Norman, thank you for sharing that. So as somebody that three of my best friends, or two of my best friends, we're all the same age. We went to high school together and we're still friends. And what did it all happen when we were all 53? Okay. So we all were let go from our jobs at 53 years old. So kind of speaking to what you're saying, my one friend was in her job for over 30 something years. My other friend was with her industry for, I think, over 30 years as well. And so they weren't looking ahead. I'd been in education for a long time. I was not like thinking, what am I going to do next? I was thinking, about my work and the cadence of the work that I did, where I was placed. And so luckily for me, I graduated actually from Florida State College of Law at 50. So at least I was thinking ahead as far as skill building, but I was really focused on skill building for the work I was in. And so when you talk about that, you're right. A lot of people are really blindsided and shocked, especially when companies and organizations are selling or they're merging and then people's positions are no longer exist. You're not really thinking about what's next. And I think that's where the connections really work and matter. I think that's where the connecting with places like Encore matter. I think that it's important to kind of boost yourself up. I will tell you that losing your job is one of the hardest feelings in your life because you feel like a failure, but yet you've been successful throughout your life. And this is just one of those moments that you literally have to pick yourself up from your bootstraps, figure out how to file for unemployment, which, by the way, I figured it out, but never qualified because luckily I've had additional work. But you still got to figure it out. And it's complicated. It's not easy. And then doing a resume, making a resume the way they want you. LinkedIn, most companies, they want your LinkedIn when you apply. What is LinkedIn? How do you use LinkedIn? I mean, there's so many things to learn. So my advice, if I were to talk to somebody in my age group or 60s or 70s, and you're still employed or thinking about becoming employed, is to kind of start building some of those things so that if it does happen and you do find yourself without work, you've got a platform and you've got connections and you have a place to build. But if you're starting from scratch, that's okay too. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I think it's a great way to connect and find others and meet people. It's also a great way to, mentally challenge yourself, read some articles. They also have a LinkedIn learning component where you can take a class and learn Excel or Word or whatever you want. There's a lot of nice things there too. So Norman, thank you for sharing. And may I ask, what industry did you retire from?
Well, actually, I had the fortune of being able to work in multiple industries during my career. Mostly I was working in technology, but in recent years, I was working primarily in caring for older people. And I actually started doing volunteer work, doing that as well. So thankfully, I have a lot of that volunteering that I'm continuing to do. I think Eduardo, you had mentioned also that you're doing some of that. That is very helpful because that just continues, and that obviously has no.
And I've seen people, I was supporting a not-for-profit and they had a mentorship program that was purely volunteers, but I've seen those mentors eventually get hired, and all the mentors are well over their 60s, and they ended up taking on 10-hour-a-week jobs. And so I love that about that not-for-profit because they recognized that the mentors add value, but they also they had some funding where they could actually hire mentors. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Norman. Anybody else, Christine?
Not in the chat. I do see James said, do we have legal recourse when this happens?
I think that was in reference to being let go after so many years. These
Right.
are major companies that you'd recognize if I said the names, that they were laid off, and they were just part of those downsizing when some companies call them a RIF, where they let off a large majority of people. Typically, there is no legal recourse because you're not being targeted. It might be the position or the group. However, your rights are important, and it's important to know what your rights are. I imagine, Christine, that Encore may have some people that could connect them or some resources for things like that when people do have questions.
Definitely, definitely. And to answer some of Norman's concerns, The workforce is really changing, and that is why the tenets of what Encore offers and our vision of creating an age-friendly Palm Beach County is so important. And it really is because more and more employers need to understand the importance of age inclusivity and that the workforce has shifted. And as Shannon had given some of the statistics, the workforce is getting older. And so there are more of us than there are of them. So they really need to recognize that and why it is valuable to recognize the mature worker and the value that they do bring. And that's why we have events like our Wisdom and Experience event, which is coming up in March. And if you'd like to learn more about that, happy to share more information. But what we do is we award those employers who value the mature worker. And they fill out, just like on the accreditation, they fill out information about how they do that, what they do for their employees, the number of employees they have over 50. And so there's a certain criteria that they need to meet. But more and more, it's important to get that word out to these employers that this is not something that's going to end now. This is something that you will be seeing 20 years from now. When I started in business back in many years ago, many years ago, I remember I had a healthcare agency and I was doing a presentation on the silver tsunami. And that was over 20 years ago. And just now, recently, a few months back, all of a sudden, all of the local politicians and powers that be decided to have a presentation on what are we going to do about the silver tsunami. Well, my first response to that was, where have you been for 20 years? So it's just coming to light that this shift has happened. The retirement there again is not our parents' retirement. It is a different world. We have longevity. And also, Norman, you may be happy to hear this, but there are people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s that are still doing a lot of valuable work. So we're not done yet, just because we hit that mark, and we have to remind ourselves of all the wisdom and experience that we personally have. Everything you've done through those prior years, it's not something that you put on a shelf and put away. That has all brought you to where you are today, and it helps you. And it's something I personally do with my clients. It's something that helps you decide what your next steps are. And you utilize all of the value of everything you've done through the years and bring that to the table. I always reference, when I'm speaking, I went back to college late in life. I finished my degree at 47 years old. And one of the things I had to do back then, after having numerous jobs along the way, was I had to fill out a criteria of all the jobs I had and how they fit into a workforce, how they fit into a degree. And I actually, at that point, had earned 27 college credits just based on my experience, everything from being a dental assistant to working in the restaurant business to being a mother and volunteering in different school activities. So if you start analyzing some of the things that you've done through the years, you have managerial experience, you have supervisor experience. I mean, just go down the list of all the things you've done. So all of those things put together can help you plan your next steps, because you do have a lot of talents and experience to bring to the table. And love to speak to anyone about that, because it is something that is why it's so valuable for Encore to be spreading this vision of creating an age-friendly workplace. Thank you, Eduardo.
No, Christine, you're absolutely correct. What I'd love to be able to share with the group is keep an open mind as opposed to a closed mind. Be receptive to other people's ideas, thoughts, and so forth. Continue to network. Continuing education, I think it's so important. Shannon mentioned AI. I am into Perplexity, which is part of AI. I love Perplexity. It always perplexed me how it works, but it's just wonderful. I'm so into AI. we are trying to redo our website, My Kiwanis Club. So the first person I went to is AI. She's my number one companion. I love her. And I tell you, within 2 minutes, a complete list of things that I need to check my website. And this is what I would suggest, Ed. And I was, I don't know, astounded by its the answer, the rapidity of the answer, how fast it came to me, and it's just incredible. But again, I've always been very open-minded. But there are people who are members of our board of directors who are set in their ways. And it reminds me of insanity, the definition of insanity, trying to do the same things over and over and over again and expect different results. So I'm very much, again, into trying new ways of doing things.
Thank you for sharing that, Eduardo. And I have to admit, I dabble with AI myself. And what's really interesting is even if you do nothing else, write in some of your experience and, tell a little bit about yourself and then ask what it might recommend you look at, what field you might be meant for. Ask it questions. You'd be amazed at what it tells you. And it's like things we don't recognize. And that's the whole point of that I appreciate about AI is that it helps you see things that we can't see for ourselves.
Might be a great topic for a future Encore is maybe a little AI tips and tricks. And Eduardo, you got to be on the panel. If you're working on a
Definitely.
website with AI, I love it. I love it. So anyway, Christine, thank you so much for having me on the panel. It's been such a pleasure. I know we're getting close to the end. So glad to see the people that attended, and hopefully you can use that video on the website to explain a little bit more about Encore's wonderful accreditation badge there. So very excited.
You were
Thank you,
wonderful,
Shannon.
Shannon. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you
thank
so much for joining us. And the recording will be up on our YouTube channel. So if you want to get more information or review Shannon's slides, you can do that there. And I see Nancy raise her hand. Nancy? No? Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you, Shannon. And any further questions, comments before we close out? Rita, do you have your hand up? Oh, okay. I saw you waving. Okay. All right. I see there's some questions in the chat here real quick. Let me just before we close out. And I just lost my chat. So
Oh, I can see it.
Okay.
James had a couple questions. They need to establish a resume writing guidance and interview technique training to our senior population. Great suggestions. Maybe a good topic. I'm actually pretty strong at that, but also AI is very supportive in that area too. And we got some thank yous from Karen, Renee, Nancy waved. So very exciting. So thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Visit our website, and if you'd like more information about the accreditation or the Wisdom and Experience event, just reach out. All the information's on the website at encorepbc.org. Thank you so much, and this is only a great beginning to the new year, so we're looking forward to all good things to come. Thank you all.